Come explore our world of coffee. DeLuna Coffee was founded in 2014 by Ed and Courtney Lemmix alongside their son, Brett. The Lemmixes are Pensacola natives with a passion for coffee, so what better than their Beachin blend, which is just that, Beachin. It's their classic combination of Colombian and Brazilian beans. It creates a superior French roasted coffee taste, lower in caffeine, so it'll keep you easy breezy. Ed and Brett are both FSU alums and are extending a special offer to our listeners. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit thelunacoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.
From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Coffee's for closers only.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! Welcome on into Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee, DeLunaCoffee.com. Come explore our world of coffee. Promo code WARCHANT15 gets you 15% off the great blends of coffee and assorted sundries at DeLunaCoffee.com. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Promo code is WARCHANT30 for 30 for days of access. YouTube folks, what up? Thumbs up. Show that you like the video. Everybody on iTunes, welcome back. We never went anywhere, but you're all back. It's great. Just in time, right, Corey? It's May. Whole lot going on. We'll have a good show today, but I don't know what we're going to do for the next 30 days, 60 days, 75 days. But we'll figure it out, right? We're pros.
Well, we got Cinco de Mayo coming up. That's big. We got May the 4th be with you. That's coming up soon. So we got some stuff this week that we'll definitely take care of.
Okay. We missed May 1st, which is, I guess, May Day. It's going to be May and sync.
Going to be May. Yeah, you got that one. So that's crazy. There's like 3 in a row right there in 1 week.
I know. Actually, yeah, May. All right. There are going to be no days off, apparently. Yeah, we'll slip out here.
Mother's Day is coming up this weekend. So, yeah, man, it's a big week. And then after that, who knows?
How you doing, Corey? How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm back in the Hassie. Got back on late Saturday night after watching Brady play a couple games on Saturday afternoon. Drove back down. Took in a baseball game at Hauser Stadium for the first time in a while on Sunday. An exciting affair that the Noles won. And, yeah, doing well, man. Doing well. Can't complain.
Okay. Probably doing about as well as Janaris Robinson and Josh Kando. How do you think those gentlemen feel? Well, first off, though, Asante taken quickest out of all the guys that got drafted. The 4 players, second round, 47th overall, L.A. Chargers. Him and Derwin reunited, probably feel so good. Which is, I think if we had to probably bet, we probably thought Asante was going to go second round. There were mumblings. I think Kuiper had him going 31st in his mock, so we were hoping that he would sneak there into the first round. Didn't happen, but hey, what a great landing spot. Real good defense. New head coach Brandon Staley, defensive-minded guy. That's a nice setup for him. And then just absolutely flabbergasted, man. I'm really not trying to exaggerate at all. I was stunned that both J-Rob and Kando went in the 4th round, man, to good franchise. Janaris 134th overall to Minnesota, and then Kando to Kansas City, where he'll reunite with Derek Noddy, Noddy by nature, 144th. And then Hamza goes to the Jets, 6th round, 186th overall. But I don't know, is not talking about Asante bearing the lead. To me, it's J-Rob and Kando got drafted in the 4th round. Are you serious? Like, good for them. I'm happy for them. I'm absolutely ecstatic for them. I want to see all these kids be able to fulfill their dreams and, create a living, making a nice sum of money. It's crazy. Can you believe it? Do you believe in miracles, Corey Clark?
Especially in the context of who didn't get drafted. Off this past team. It's like, okay, well, 2 guys that didn't get drafted made a whole lot of plays in college. The 2 guys that got drafted in the 4th round, it's clearly on body type and potential. Because Kando didn't have a sack this year, right?
I think
Isn't that right?
That's what it was, yeah.
I think he was in on like 35 tackles in his career at Florida State. And he was drafted in the same round as like, I don't know, Devontae Freeman. Like, I know they play different positions, but you would think production would matter a little bit. And I know he's not supposed to be, Peter Boulware flying off the edge. He's not one of those defensive ends. But you would thought it'd matter some. But that said, that's awesome for the kid, and I hope he has a good career. He's not going to be a superstar. I don't think anybody expects that. But he might be in the league. He could maybe works himself into a solid, like, backup defensive end or a strong side defensive end that can play for a decade in this league. That would be great. Him and J-Rob both. Like, J-Rob at least made some plays in college. Other than the interception against North Carolina, I don't remember Kendo doing much of anything other than against Delaware State as a freshman. So that's purely body type. But these coaches have big egos. They think they can get a kid with that body type and maybe teach him to unlock him. And maybe he wasn't unlocked at Florida State. But fourth round, I was very surprised. More so with Kendo than Janaris, just because Janaris, he does have that size, and he did make flashy plays occasionally. Like, he would flash. It was a couple times a month, but he would flash some. So he had some on tape, as opposed to Kendo, who really didn't have much of anything that made you say, wow, that guy's rounder, certain definite NFL player. But good for them, man. Those are nice signing bonuses. Hopefully they can stay in the league for a good long while and take care of their families for the rest of their lives.
Here's some fourth-rounders for you, man. Tom Jackson, John Stallworth, Steve Largent, Harry Carson, Mark Bavaro, Andre Reed, Charles Haley. Charles Haley was a fourth-round pick.
I wonder how many
Dak
sacks
Prescott.
Haley had in college. I wonder if he had more than Kendo in college.
Probably. More recently, Brandon Marshall, the wide receiver not from UCF, Jared Allen, Rich Gannon. Yeah, these guys, there's some value in fourth round. Dak Prescott, as I also said there. So,
yeah.
I wonder, like, what was the scouting? But still, though, like, film's got to count. I know what you're saying. Like, coaches have egos. We can get the best out of them. But I just wonder, like, what the conversations were like in these war rooms when it's like, hey, we got the kid. He's like 6'5", 260, ran a 4.67 or whatever in the 40, Florida State. All right, what'd he do? He didn't get any sacks. They've been kind of down, They've been down the last few years. Maybe change of scenery will help this young man out. Crazy.
It reminds me of that scene in I think I quoted Moneyball a few weeks ago about a scene in Moneyball, but there's a scene in Moneyball where Brad Pitt, Billy Bean's sitting around with the scouts, and they're talking about how this guy in minor leagues just needs a lot of at-bats. Yeah. And they're like, he's got a beautiful swing, and when he hits it, it really cracks. It makes a different kind of sound, and it goes. And Brad Pitt's like, but he can't hit. And then the lead scout's like, well, we get him 500, give him 1,000 bats. He'll be able to hit well. He goes, so he hasn't hit in the minor leagues, but when he gets up here and faces major league pitching, he's going to be able to hit? And it's like, he's got a beautiful swing, and the ball really carries. And it's like, hey, man, if he's a good hitter, why doesn't he hit good? You know what I mean? And if Kendo's a force at defensive end, why didn't he do anything like that in college? Again, I don't want this to be a referendum on the Josh Kendo, because he seemed like a really nice person, and hopefully he has a really good career, and he'll be a great ambassador for Florida State University. It was just surprising, him and J-Rob both, and I think Florida State fans would be like, wow, we had 2 fourth-rounders and a second-rounder and a sixth-rounder on that defense.
Four players drafted on your defense that was in the hundreds, right?
And those two defensive linemen played most of the season and combined, I think, for 3 sacks, all by one of them. It's just a little confusing, but the NFL draft is always a little confusing. I hope they catch on, make the team, start, and have great careers, both of them.
And
but I don't think Florida State fans will be surprised if they don't. I guess that's the point. We've all seen a lot of them, and we're all rooting for them. But, yes, I don't think any Florida State fans are expecting them to have breakout careers in the NFL. But Josh Sweat didn't do a ton at Florida State either, and he's had a nice start to his NFL career. So it can happen, I guess.
He battled injuries, though. I guess you could say that for Kendo, but J-Rob was healthy.
Kendo did too
durable.
a little bit. Yeah.
It's just, to me, it's just they didn't get drafted by the Jags. No offense, Jag fan. They didn't get drafted by bad franchises. It wasn't the Jags, and I don't know who else has been a doormat for a long time. It seems like he's got the longest drought right now in the NFL, not making it to the playoffs. But Mike Zimmer's the head coach for the Vikings. He's all about defense. They have really salty defenses in Minneapolis. He's not wasting a 4th round pick on a hope and a chance and a prayer. And then the Chiefs, everyone's going to always obviously focus on Patrick Mahomes, but man, they got Tyreek Hill. They've done some good drafting, at least on the offensive side of the ball, and then defensively, I'll give them some benefit of the doubt there. These are really good franchises that drafted these guys, And, I joked about that text message with you and Ira. I'm like, who lasts longer, Adam Fuller or the GMs at these franchises? Now, Brenton Veach at Kansas City is probably good. He can probably walk on water for a while after bringing them a Super Bowl. I think Rick Spielman's still the GM in Minnesota. How do you have 4 guys get drafted on your defense? I can't wait to see how they perform. Because if they don't perform, then it's like, okay, well, I guess these NFL guys maybe aren't as smart as we all think they are. But if they do, man, you had 4 dudes on a defense that was just putrid. There's nothing redeeming at all about your defense.
Well, but again, remember that, and we do have to. It is a qualifier, but Hampson didn't play, so he played
3.
1 game, I think.
3,
so you had 3, and then the one that you thought was going to be when the season started, you thought the guy that was going to be drafted the highest wasn't drafted at all. So, and I think honestly, other than ripping on Kando and J-Rob, which I don't want to do because they didn't play the whole season.
I'm ripping on
I feel like I am. I feel like I am, and I don't mean to. I don't want to. I think the story, honestly, of this weekend for Florida State was the 2 guys that didn't get drafted. I just think that's the story. I think those 2. I don't think either one of us were stunned that Kando and J-Rob got drafted just because of their size. But I think we were both surprised. Well, you were flabbergasted, I think, in the 4th round. Yeah, that was more than a little surprising. But hey, man, it's not like that's a ton of money they're risking on these guys, and you just hope it works out. Apparently, these franchises thought they were worth the chance. But yes, I think it was the 2 that didn't get drafted, which really opened eyes. And you think about what those guys were thinking this time last year. Where they were, what they thought their lives would be, and now they're both. I know Marvin got a nice deal, for an unsigned free agent, but or undrafted free agent, but yeah, man, there's no way they envisioned the 2021 NFL draft coming and going without them even being Mr. Irrelevant. Like their name wasn't called at all. Both those dudes probably thought they were first rounders, and they weren't drafted at all.
The 2 guys, obviously Marvin Wilson, who signed with the Browns, the largest guaranteed contract of any unsigned or undrafted free agent, and then Tamorian landed with the Seahawks. I think somebody was talking about him maybe being a poor man's DK Metcalf, which, DK Metcalf's really, really good. But yeah, when we had our last show, when we did the live show Thursday, we were talking about the draft. It was like, okay, Asante's going to get drafted, probably Hamsa, and then it was like, well, then after that, like, And then I was like, Terry's got to get drafted. I mean, he's 6'4" and runs like the wind. And everybody can be like, well, all he does is just run go routes. All right, man. It scores touchdowns. They'll take that in the NFL. Not everybody wants to his dig route's not polished enough. He doesn't come out of his breaks on an out route good enough. That guy is an athlete. He's elite skills, elite talent in terms of speed, athleticism, length. This stuff that you can't coach, the stuff that you would take a chance on in the 4th round. There's much more upside, I think, in Tamorian Terry being a receiver that you think can get involved in your rotation versus Janaris Robinson and Joshua Kando, I think. Just in terms of what they've produced, it's crazy. And then Marvin, I'll talk about that later when we unveil our new segment here that we're going to be doing on Mondays. But man, just what is that poor kid thinking? And I know some people are going to roll their eyes at that. It's uncomfortable almost to have to talk about Marvin Wilson because there's an element of this entire story behind it that's just I don't want to get into. But is a very, I'm not the guy who's going to play the race card a lot. Like it's all about race. But there's a racial component to where I think there's some gloating going on. People are happy to see him kind of get his comeuppance. You're like, how dare you speak out against your head coach? This is what you get. And there's a little too much enjoyment going on. I think there's a little bit of ill will in there that I don't really want to – I don't like to associate with, I should say, I guess. I hope it all works out for both those kids, but if you would have told me that those 2 guys would go undrafted, those other 2 guys that got drafted in the 4th round would go, I'd be like, no way. But, hey, maybe this just further proves I know nothing about football. I was shocked, man. The Marvin stuff I can kind of understand because the amount of injuries he's had, although look at Landon Dickerson – our guy here, he's been injured every other month, and he gets 2nd-round grade and drafted. But the Terry stuff doesn't make sense to me. Because from what we see, nobody left on good terms, but in terms of, bad, residual sort of effects, I thought at least Terry sort of buried the hatchet to a certain degree. But for him to be toxic, to not be able to get drafted, that was, I mean, again, to be 6'4", run that fast, that's crazy. Have a 1,200-yard season, 10 touchdowns, and not get drafted in a pass-happy, generation right now. That was the most shocking thing to me.
I mean, they're both. I say the other one, not to be contrarian. I was more shocked by Marvin, because Marvin had what he did in the tweet and everything, and that certainly was something he had to answer for. That is something. I mean, you guys can roll your eyes or not. That is something that I don't think it took him off boards completely, but it really knocked him down. Look, man, the coaches don't want to fear you going on social media and questioning them. They just don't. Whether that's fair or not, it's life. And he even admitted when he talked to reporters at the Florida State Pro Day that every team that interviewed him asked him about it. Every single team. And clearly some of them didn't like the answers. It just rubbed them the wrong way, as it would any coach that has their their morality questioned and makes it so public and calls for a boycott of practice and everything else. That obviously clearly bothered general managers and bothered coaches, because Marvin had 2 good years, really good years, dominant years. Terry had 1. And Marvin was still a part of the team this year. Like, I know he didn't play well, and I know he didn't play the last few games, but he was still, he was trying to be a leader, at least outwardly. Like, he was showing up at practice. He was trying to coach. He was being a cheerleader on the sidelines. Tamarian got in a fight with a coach on the sideline. And so I thought it was a little different. And quit or got kicked off the team there at the end of the year. And he also called out his coach on Twitter about COVID protocols and feeling safe. So there were a lot of things working against Tamarian. And I just thought, I would have thought at least if you don't want to spend a second round pick on Marvin because of the injuries, you would have thought by the 6th round, you'd be like, guys, this was a 5-star recruit that was not a bust. Like, there are plenty of busts in recent years at Florida State that were 5 stars. Marvin Wilson ain't one of them. He was really good in 18 and 19, really good, and came back in 20 when he didn't have to. I think he wasn't healthy. He wasn't in great shape. And then that tweet in June was a firestorm. He had no idea the repercussions it would have, but I think he felt it this weekend. Whether that's fair or not, he felt it this weekend. And because, look, man, you mentioned Tyreek Hill. Every NFL GM in the country would take Tyreek Hill in a second. Go Google Tyreek Hill's history. NFL GMs don't care about that stuff, man. But if Tyreek Hill had gone on Twitter and said Andy Reid is a big fat walrus and I can't stand him, and he's a baby, and his son is a murderer, and said all this stuff on Twitter, then they would have cut him. And nobody else, it would have been much harder for him to be picked up. There's things that NFL teams care about, and there's things that they don't. And what Marvin did in June, I'm telling you, they care more about that than they care about the alleged incident with Josh Ball, who was drafted. I don't know. But that tells you something. Whether that's fair or not, that's life. And I hope Marvin has a great career with who do you get? The Browns, right?
Yeah, the Brownies.
Yeah.
Steph will be rooting for him. We got to get her a Wilson
Yeah,
jersey.
Steph, Cleveland fan, so that's nice. And get her a Marvin Wilson jersey. And she was very excited. And she's like, "Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome." I'm like, "Well, he hasn't made the team yet." And she's like, "Well, he's going to make the team, right?" And I'm like, I would think he would.
Yeah,
but
he got guaranteed close
man?
to $200,000, which isn't obviously a windfall, but I think that shows a pretty good investment in you. At least they have you somewhat penciled into plans. At least maybe a practice squad guy. It's a good chance for them. You put $200,000 on a guy that if he comes in focused and shape is probably going to be, part of your rotation. So and if not, then you haven't really lost a lot of draft capital, and it's not a lot of capital period to give him a shot at it. So,
and then Terry, you said, and Terry's with the Seahawks. It's just when you think about El Paso, and those two guys both announced, and I think on the same day, right?
Yeah, man. Yep.
That they were coming back to Florida State.
Yep.
And then fast forward 15 months. Well, we've all been through a pandemic, and then these two dudes weren't even drafted. It's just an incredible last 15 or 16 months for those guys. humbling. It has to be humbling.
Absolutely.
And hopefully
I was
they'll.
telling you, Ira, the group text. Like, imagine 18-year-old Marvin Wilson being told, "All right, you're gonna be at Florida State. You're gonna have one winning season, and you're gonna go undrafted." Like, I don't want that. No, can I go to Baton Rouge instead? Like,
Sure.
Again, like I feel bad for the kid. I really do. People are like, well, he's not a kid. These are the sum of all his decisions. He made his bed. He needs to lie in it. All right, man. I understand the kid made a mistake. Didn't handle things the way you would have liked to. I don't think anybody really. I don't approve of what he did. I understand where he was coming from. I can kind of empathize, I think, with where he was coming from in that moment. But man, to be told probably since you were 15 that this is all going to work out, man. You're going to go D1. You're going to get full ride. You're going to go NFL. You're going to be able to make a living out of this. You're going to be able to let your mom retire and buy her all the things that she's wanted in life. And to where, man, you have no stability, man. You are teetering on the brink of all this that you've been working for your whole life. Like I've never had that opportunity in my life. I auditioned for national networks to be on television, and that stuff was pretty grueling or heartbreaking rather than not get it. But it wasn't something I had been working towards for the last 10 years and put
It's
blood,
also
sweat,
not
and
something that
tears into,
that you had been told since you were 16
Yeah,
was
man.
a guarantee waiting to happen. Like, man, you're going to the league.
And I don't think
You're
I
going
don't
to be
think he
a
was an
millionaire. You're best
entitled
defensive
kid.
tackle in the country.
I don't think.
No, I don't either. But
Go ahead.
But he had been told that he was the number one, and he'd been ranked as like the number one, number two defensive tackle in the country as a teenager. And he was a 5-star, and 5-star dudes that performed as a sophomore and a junior performed really well. So there was no point in his life where he thought this was a possibility since he became a serious football player. And so yeah, man, this is a pivotal part in both of in both their lives. The problem when you're undrafted is they don't. Now Marvin's a little different because he did get a nice signing bonus, but they don't really have anything invested in you. They really don't have anything invested in you past the 5th round anyway. Yeah. But they don't have anything invested in you at all. You have to really shine and play well to make a team. Tamari and Terry, because they don't have time to baby you. You don't get redshirted in the NFL, man. They only got 53 spots. They only have 5 wide receivers available per game and 7 offensive linemen. So they can't have you on the sidelines not knowing what you're doing and redshirting you, expecting you to be awesome in 2023. That's not how the NFL works, man. Not when you're undrafted. They'll do it for a 1st or 2nd round pick they got money invested in. So you just have to hope they have a great summer, impress the right people, and make these teams. But even with Marvin's money, it's not a guarantee. You might think it's a probability. It's certainly a possibility. But yeah, he's not even guaranteed to making a team. And it's because he 2018, 2019, he was one of the best defensive tackles in the country.
Bar none.
And then
absolutely.
now he's not.
And
it can't just be though the tweet, because didn't the kid from Oklahoma State, the running back,
Chuba
didn't
Howard,
he call out Mike Gundy?
Hubbard. He went 4th round. Chuba Hubbard. I was looking him up. He went 4th round. Yeah. But I mean,
and he called out Gundy and said he was going to quit or wasn't going to play because of Gundy wearing the whatever he wore, the OAN shirt. And that didn't hurt him enough. He might have dropped a round or two, maybe, if that. Then Marvin it's a clean sweep. So it wasn't just the tweet. Clearly, they're really worried about. They got to be really worried about the physical, obviously.
It's just crazy that this is now. I don't want to. It's almost becoming a thing. Like Tavares McFadden going into 2017 was projected 1st round pick, and then everything came undone for him. Going into 2018, Levante Taylor projected 1st round pick, and then his whole world comes undone, at least football wise. And then Marvin Wilson's a guy. All the accolades he had. I mean, going into 19, I think there was some sort of buzz around him possibly being able to leave after that season if he played well and become maybe not a 1st round pick. But when he announced that he was coming back, I think PFF had some sort of tweet where he was ranked their number 1 returning defensive tackle, interior defensive lineman.
Yeah,
I mean, this is just there's a real good column right now up on Warchant that Ira wrote that maybe gives a little more glimpse into this stuff. We joked about it on a show a few episodes ago about what's your elevator pitch to people that would be like, hey, what happened to Florida State? You guys are really good at football. Ira's is a little bit longer than an elevator pitch, but I mean, I guess it just goes to show that these kids, these young men, have all these expectations put on them, and no one's lived up to it. I don't know if I think Burns. I mean, Burns went first round, and there was a decent amount of buzz around him going to that season. But yeah, I mean, like
Asante did too. Asante lived up to it.
Yeah,
I thought he lived up to his billing,
but the
and he lived up to his billing coming into the season. But yeah, it's just not all. I always say not all 4 stars are created equal. There is a big gap between the great ones and the not great ones, as Florida State fans have come to know. And I guess not all 5 stars are either. I mean, what's bizarre about the Florida State one, though, is that they've had guys that really did perform as sophomores. And then that money year, they like vomit on themselves and then don't make any money at all. And it's just it's supposed to be the opposite. You're supposed to really shine in your money year. And Asante did. So good for him. And, Kendo got drafted. Big money year for him. That's the joke, by the way, because he didn't have a sack this year. So, but he's still drafted, man. What is Marvin thinking of that?
That was his 4th year, though. Wasn't Kendo? Kendo was here 17, 18, 19.
Yeah, but I think he was still a junior. I mean, he could have come back.
But these guys were all there. All these guys that we're talking about were on the 3-year, and I'm to the NFL plan.
Yes, right. Yeah, and Levante, I think T-Mac had some buzz because of his size. I don't ever think Levante was, not by anybody that mattered, was projected as a first-round pick. But he was projected as a good college player and an NFL draft pick. And he was neither his last 2 years. I mean, he lost it. How does that happen? How do you just lose it? Because he was good, man. And then he lost some confidence and then kind of cratered. And so did McFadden. It's a weird time in Florida State. How about Trey McKitty and Landon Dickerson? And I guess to a certain extent, Josh Ball. Did they count as Florida State draft picks?
We'll take some credit on Dickerson. We can take some credit on Dickerson. He started some games.
I think
here.
McKitty too. I think you could take some. You know how many catches McKitty had this year at Georgia?
13.
7.
Whew.
He had 7 catches and was a 3rd-round pick.
So let's say I wonder if Cam McDonald will get drafted higher than him.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Something to watch.
Who knows anymore?
Yeah.
We don't know. We think guys that don't have any sacks in college probably won't get drafted, and we look like idiots. So who knows? Cam McDonald might be the 2nd pick in the draft next year, for all we know.
The clutch shot, the biggest hit. It's time for the Zaxby's Indescribably Good
Player of the Week.
All right, so there you heard. This is going to be a new weekly recurring franchise. Every Monday, we'll be picking an indescribably good player of the week. This was all the genesis, Corey, of you a few weeks ago, rambling on and thinking about something, and then saying to yourself, it was like an indescribable moment or something like that. Then the people at Zaxby's heard it. They wanted back on this rocket ship to the moon, so here we are. So we're going to bat around a couple people. I know Kaylee Harding for Florida State had a game-winning walk-off RBI against NC State. Catherine Sandercock, again, just keeps dealing, winning games for Florida State on the diamond or the circle. Baseball, you were out there on Sunday. Matt Nelson, Clark Curse immune. I mean, he must have had the Pfizer vaccine on that. Who do you think was the indescribable? We're trying to describe stuff, but who was the indescribably great player or good player of the week, rather?
Yeah, look, I'm doing it just to get it out of the way so we don't have to do them again, but I'm going to say Nelson just to get it done. And since it's the debut, this is also in totality of what he's done for the season up to this point. Yes. But because for him, it was a quiet weekend. He only had 1 home run. I mean, what is this? What are we doing here, Matt? But on Sunday, when it mattered, he had a game-tying double. He legged out a double, too. It was a rocket shot to left center that was cut off by the center fielder, but Nelson still beat the throw home. That tied the game at 2-2. Then after Davis Hare put him ahead with his first home run of his career, Matt Nelson gives him the insurance run with a bullet down the line for his 20th home run of the season, which obviously continues to lead the nation. He also caught every inning of the weekend, which is a big deal. And I'm going to give him, I know he doesn't call the pitches, but still, this weekend the Florida State starters had 34 strikeouts and 0 walks. And you know who caught all those strikeouts? Matt Nelson. So that's Matty Ice.
Okay.
Matty Nice. Yeah, really. That's who we're going to give it to for the debut. He deserves it for what he's done this spring already.
I would have given it to Beatrice Wallen. She was the ACC Golfer of the Year, but it's indescribably good player of the week. I mean, you did an entire year show off. Mine is going to be the most indescribably good player of the week, and it's Mike Norvell. Don't talk back to Mike Norvell, kids. A.J. Litton, gone. Kalen LeBourne, gone. Marvin Wilson, undrafted. Tamorian Terry, undrafted. Mike's going to be walking tall. He's a new Iron Mike. Kids, don't bite the hand that feeds. Things will go awry for you. That's been the Zaxby's indescribably good player of the week. All right, some other stuff to know about, news and notes, Olympic sports, if you will. So Krikorian and the ladies beginning their march towards a third national title. As Corey, you astutely pointed out, Milwaukee probably going to have their hands full of Florida State. Looks like they did on Saturday. 3-0, Florida State advances.
Yeah, and it was 5 months, 6 months in between their games for Florida
If you look at their schedule on Seminoles.com, it's Sunday, November 15th, they beat North Carolina 3-2. North Carolina was number 1, apparently. And then they did not play again.
That wrapped up the ACC championship and gave them the automatic berth to the NCAA tournament.
And then did not play until Saturday, May 1st.
Imagine the Florida State basketball team losing to Georgia Tech in the ACC championship game and then getting ready to play in the NCAA tournament in September. I mean, it's just right around Halloween. It's like, all right, guys, let's get back out here. It's just nuts. I hope they win it. Look, it ramps up considerably now, the competition level. God love Milwaukee. Penn State's the real deal. Everybody after this is the real deal. But, yes, they did win, which is great, but this is obviously a sham of a season. It's ridiculous. Florida State won the national title back in November. They won't put it up, but I'm going to keep saying it. They were the 2020 national champs. Let's see if they can repeat here in 2021 and win their next 4 games.
I mean, everyone talked about playing in the bubble was like, the most difficult championship in the NBA. I mean, at least, LeBron wanted to say that to help boost his legacy. But, man, like if they win this one, this would be the craziest back-to-back titles in college history. To go through that kind of delay that you point out, that's nuts.
It's crazy that this is what they came up with. Hey, sorry you haven't played in 6 months, but good luck. Here you go. Play some scrimmages. It's crazy. So, hey, good luck to them. They still haven't been scored on. They don't get scored on a lot. They haven't been scored on in, 6 months now. So they got that streak going. And then, they got Penn State this week coming up. I think when is that, Aslan? Is it on Tuesday?
I think so. I went to beach volleyball. Now you're making me pivot back to the schedule, and I can't.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
It's fine.
Sorry, that's
fine.
my fault.
It's okay, man. It's no problem.
I'm right here. I'll go to the schedule.
They're in the round of 16. It's crazy. They won one game. They're in the round of 16. It's going to be the 5th, Wednesday, May 5th, 3 p.m. So either do a one-on-one with somebody on the soccer team, Corey, or maybe segue. Time to get beach volleyball their day in the sun. They're trying to coming off their 5th straight conference title. They begin play in Gulf Shores on Saturday. So maybe this is the time we finally get them on the show. Maybe this will be what gets them over the hump finally. That's crazy. That's like a 2-week layoff. I'm sorry, Friday, May 7th. They'll be back in action. So that's like a 2-week layoff. I wonder how they feel about that. They last played on the 25th, beating LSU.
Yeah, they do that with golf, too. Like the men's golf team has 2 weeks off.
One-on-one, Corey Clark, Warchant, one-on-one. Do it. Set it up. Make it happen.
All right, I'll try.
How's the golf team doing? Do we know how the boys are doing?
Well, no, they lost in the ACC championship game, and then they have 2 weeks off until they play again.
Get your mind right.
Same with the women. You get 2 weeks off, and then you get to go right back at it. So maybe this will be the year for Trey Jones and the boys. They're ranked like 2nd in the country or 3rd in the country. So why not them? You know what I mean? Let's go.
Great. You probably don't see there's a car commercial with Trey Jones on it, and it's like I don't even know what the dealership is, but it's because you only can have a 30-second ad or like a minute ad. Usually are actually like a 15 or 30-second ad usually in local television, and it's like hey Trey, congratulations, you guys are ranked 3rd in the country. That's awesome. Now back to our great vehicles. It's like this weird aside of like, hey, let's let everybody know that this guy is actually the golf coach at Florida State, because most people probably don't recognize him. But also, let me get you in a new 4-door sedan with a 10-year, limited warranty on it.
Right.
So that's going on. All right, on the way out, so what do we think about this baseball team? I'm kind of bummed out. I really love baseball season, especially during the summer when things start ramping up and the season starts really mattering and we get closer to Omaha and the regionals and the super regional and the extra innings channel on ESPN pops up. Really, man, I'm being sincere. I absolutely love it. This team, though, I don't know. This team is not very equipped right now to put up runs, which is part of this
That's polite.
game.
That's a polite way to say that.
know? Davis Hare, God love him. The next pitcher in line, it's like Spinal Tap. Like, just roll out another guy to play drums. Roll out another pitcher, put him somewhere in the starting lineup, hope for the best. He delivered. He had a solo home run, give him an insurance run they needed on Sunday. But we know who this team is now, and there's pop, but there's just inconsistency all around it. And we're probably not going to Omaha, so I'm sad.
Yeah, I would have said the same thing 2 years ago when they did go, but that team had a few more offensive pieces than this team. And yes, right now, to me, it's you can't let Matt Nelson swing and beat you, and he kind of did on Sunday. I would if it's first and second, 2 outs, I don't care. I'm walking him and loading and putting the runner at third base and pitching to Robbie Martin and then Cabell. There's just no point to pitch to Matt Nelson. And he is a great hitter, and he's surrounded by, to be polite, not great hitters. But hey, you get some timely hitting, that helps. They got some on Sunday, got none on Saturday. But yeah, they scored a total of 7 runs in 3 games. They can pitch it. We know that. Like I said, their starters had 34 strikeouts and no walks. The bullpen, I think they struck out 43 batters over the weekend, so they averaged about 14 strikeouts per game this weekend. Troy was overmatched at the plate. Connor Grady had 13 in 5 innings.
I know, he's freaking
but
shelling.
That's crazy. Out of the 15 outs, but Florida State, I tweeted about it. The first 27 outs of the game on going to the bottom of the 5th, the first 27 outs of the game, 21 of them had been strikeouts. It's just tough to watch, man. It's the last 4 innings were actually very entertaining. They made some really nice defensive plays. Troy even put the bat on the ball a few times, and the infield was up to the task. They made nice plays in the infield. Florida State got some timely hitting, but it's so much swing and miss. And they get second, third, nobody out in the second. Crowell strikes out feebly. Hare pops up, and then Nander strikes out. And it's like, man, this is Troy's 3rd starter. And Troy that kid came into the game with like 26 strikeouts in 47 innings, and he had 9 and 4 against Florida State. 9 strikeouts in 4 innings. It's bizarre, but they're good enough to make the tournament. And with Parker, Messick, and Hubbard, and then your bullpen, you're good enough to pull off an upset in a regional. You might even be good enough to pull off an upset in the super regional because you got one of the best hitters in the country, and you got a couple other kids that might slam them into a 3-run homer. But they are not going to be a team that puts together like 8 runs on 6 hits in an inning. So one of those innings, that ain't them. They aren't blessed with a lot of offensive skill. Except for the guy that plays catcher, and he's awesome. And I hope this year goes down because remember Buster's year they got to Omaha. They were number 1 in the country. J.D. Drew's year they didn't get to Omaha, but he had been to Omaha twice and he was incredible. 97 I'm talking about. This year, and that team was really good. That team was number 1 in the country, and they got upset by flipping David Ross and Tim Hudson in the regional against Auburn. But this year, Florida State isn't very good. They hover right around 24 in the country, which for them isn't good. I hope Matt Nelson's season doesn't get lost because of that. The dude has 20 home runs in 39 games. In the best year for college pitching of our lifetimes. It's just crazy. And it's also the second time, Aslan, you brought it up in the group text. Before his home run, he tried to bunt. Like literally tried to bunt for a base hit. He did it last weekend at Georgia Tech. Yeah. He tried to bunt for a base hit, didn't get the bunt down, and then hit a bomb. So maybe that's what he needs to do. He needs to bunt, get the pitcher to be like, oh, I guess he's bunting this at bat. That's weird, but all right. I'll lay this down so you can bunt, and then he can hit one over the fence. But still, and I'm glad he survived the Clark jinx because we interviewed him. We had the Warchant one-on-one with him. I was sure he was about to go into an 0-for-16 slump after I got him to talk about all his home runs. But he got on the board with a double and a home run on Sunday, so everything's off.
Awesome. I'm glad. I know you were a little worried about that. I was like, you shouldn't be.
I'm always worried about that, man.
Yeah.
And it really started with what I did to poor Renegade.
That horse.
And that was, it was fun. We're coming up on 5 years, and it's still I'm still shaken by it.
I like it, though. You just gave me some hope. So you're saying there's a chance. Maybe,
Hey, by the way,
Davis
so
Harrell will be our Tim Becker this year. Maybe he'll come like steady the boat.
Well, he's a closer. I mean, he's good there too. He's been pretty good there. But I was going to say they play former FSU. I was going to say great, but Link Jarrett was not a great, but he was a good player. He's a solid player. He's now the coach at Notre Dame, and I want to say they're like 21-9 in the ACC. It's crazy. They've made like 11 errors all season. So anyway, Florida State goes to Notre Dame this weekend for a big 3-game set against former Seminole Link Jarrett.
I think we'll learn a lot from this. This is a line in the sand moment, I feel like, and I'm glad it's baseball. I can't even. Can you even wrap your head around what this would be like make it like analogous to football? Like a guy that used to play here, wanted this job. I don't know if he interviewed for it, but I'm sure he reached out and let people know he was interested in the job. I think a little bit of the bloom has come off the rose of Mike Bell. Pitt, I think, has become Pitt. But they obviously gave Florida State fits earlier in the season because the people that do post on the baseball forum on Florida on the Warchant.com message boards obviously are very passionate about baseball, and a lot of them keep talking about they're keeping tabs on Notre Dame. Like we gotta have this, but this is what we picked. I'm still.
It's funny.
Meets corner,
I mean that's fair though, right? That's fair. Now it's hindsight. Clearly, it's hindsight.
How could you not hire him? I know we argued about it, and I was kind of like, well, we can't.
You talking about who's him?
Like me? How could you pass?
Oh yeah, no, exactly.
Who told Mike Martin Sr. we're not going to hire him? The amount of money.
Here's the difference, though, right? If Mike Martin Sr. was retiring this year, and Link Jarrett was doing what he's doing at Notre Dame and not UNC Greensboro, well, that's a whole different conversation, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know that it changes anything, but if my man's has Notre Dame in the top 10 and desperately wants to come to Florida State, and he's proven he can win at this level, meanwhile you have somebody that's never been a head coach, well, it's a different conversation for sure. But that wasn't the case 2 years ago. And I don't know that Florida State would hire a UNCG head coach. And I do want to say this, because I was actually, before we started the show, I was trying to look up real quick because I saw that Notre Dame had swept North Carolina, and I'm like, what in the world? What is going on? And I wanted to look and see how many of the guys that Link Jarrett is winning with are like new guys he brought in or guys that were there. Because I am curious about that. Because it's one thing to turn around a program quickly. Can he sustain it? And that's what I'm interested in seeing. And are these his guys that he's winning in? Did he develop did he evaluate these guys and bring them in? Or were they these guys that he kind of developed once he got there? Or he kind of lucked into a good roster? I have no idea when it comes to Notre Dame. But I'm interested to see. And this will be a very interesting weekend for sure.
Did you ever think about a stranger who made a simple gesture to you, Corey, that changed your life or stuck with you? I forgot to remind you.
On the way down last night, and then my mind started wandering. So, no, again, I'm that stranger. I'm the one who knocks, Aslan. I'm that stranger to other people. I'm the one that just changes lives.
Fantastic. All right. Probably not, though, live show this week. Your boy is currently in the Bay Area offices, a.k.a. Mom's house, as I wait for the new Midtown offices to officially transition to my ownership. Shout out to everybody for having a hand in it. We'll do Renegade Express, though. I'll post a thread on that. So we will at least have one more show this week. We'll try to. We got at least do 3, I guess. At least maybe until something happens. If the baseball team bows out, I don't know. I don't know if we'll have 3 shows in us in June. Like, I mean, we can take a week off.
Hey,
right?
we can take a week or 2 off. That's not the end of the world. But we'll talk it over with Gene, and we'll come back with a format and a schedule for everyone, so they can plan their lives accordingly.
Yeah. Although I always feel bad talking about days off when like IRA exists in this world.
Well, or just the people that listen to this show at 6:30 in the morning exist. Like I get up and I listen to you guys on the way to work, and I'm like, oh man, and then we're like, oh man, I don't know if I got another 45 minutes to talk about Florida State in me. It's just too hard, guys. It's too hard. So yes, let's always feel bad about that because people are definitely rolling. They're rolling their eyes so much they're rolling their cars off the road at us complaining about working too much.
Oh, hey, did
working
Mackenzie,
in quotes, by the way?
Did Mackenzie Milton and Mike Norvell change the course of college football by like pushing the NIL stuff through? Like, did it get pushed through? Is it happening?
But yes, it did. It's supposed to start now for real on July 1st. It was just so crazy. Like that couldn't not happen. That was DeSantis was behind that. Like that was his thing. Not just to get it done, but to get it done quickly, to be the first, to lead the country. And then some yahoos that don't know anything about the rule are like, well, we think the NCAA might rule him ineligible if they take any money. We don't want that. So let's just postpone it a year. And DeSantis must have been like, wait, what? No. And trust me, he took phone calls. I'm sure everybody that recruits in the state of Florida was on the phone with somebody, whoever their state senator is, to get that thing rectified, and then it got rectified with a quickness. And Stephanie pays a lot more attention to the state senate stuff than I do, and she was telling me, no, they pushed it back. He can't veto it. It can't be changed. And I'm like, man, it's going to get changed. That's how politics works. There's going to be so much pushback, and it started immediately. And yeah, man, Mackenzie Milton led the charge. That was action. That was action on social media. He got some stuff done.
And hey, look at Mike Norvell. He's like, keep the date, # keep the date. And then he's like, thank you for keeping the date. Like, hey, man, I need Mike Norvell for life, lifetime contract. Never say anything bad about you ever, Mike. Total faith.
And Travis Hunter, man, we're coming for you, buddy. We are coming for you, Travis Hunter.
And happy belated birthday, Jordan Travis.
There you go.
There's that, too.
Go.
Real cool photo that Devin tweeted out of him and his little brother that Ira retweeted. I saw on my timeline. So,
yep. Hey, they've been Noles forever.
They have, man, since day one. All right, man, that's a wrap on the program. If you have a suggestion for the indescribably good player of the week moving forward, tweet at the show, Wake Up Warchant, on the Twitter machine. We'll be back with more programs for you this week because Corey just wants to deliver, give the people what they want. Stay connected to warchant.com for the very latest on all team and recruiting news. He's Corey Maslon. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. DeLuna Coffee features over 24 different blends. DeLuna's unique roasts can be delivered ground finely for drip coffee makers, coarse for the craft crowd, untouched as a whole bean, or even in convenient K-cups. Founded in 2014 by the Lemmix family, Ed and Brett are FSU alums and boosters who are extending a special offer to all listeners. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.